This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by Slice on Broadway, supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza, sliceonbroadway.com. And listeners like you, support this show at patreon.com/awesomecast.
Sidekick Media Services. We are your sidekick in business for social media, video production, and more. Find out more at sidekickmediaservices.com.
It's time to get geeky, get awesome. It is the AwesomeCast. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the Twitter here in the Sorgatron Media Studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And we're festive if you're on video. I decorated. There you go. That's the only decorating I think I did this year. But anyways, with me in the Christmas festivities are my fellow awesome elves. First of all, from Studio D in Dormont, Pennsylvania, a town I keep hearing on Pro Wrestling Week to Week. I think I sent him a couple weeks ago. John Chichilla joining us.
How's it going?
you're so subdued. I think he started drinking already.
My year's winding down. I got like 2 more days of work left.
You're like,
it's just time to kick back and relax.
You're just like, oh, I just need to breathe.
Yes.
Fantastic. Also with us from Studio D, the Dudders.
Hello, I'm drinking.
What do you got there?
I got a Great Lakes Christmas ale because I forgot how magical these are, and then I'm reminded every Christmas time.
It's kind of like the, oh, I do like eggnog realization every year, right? Or,
yes.
Or the, oh no, I don't like eggnog. Or
that's also true.
Candy corn always sneaks up on you too. And of course, bringing back some awesome people. First of all, she is with. Hold on, I hope. Wait, no, I almost said like 2 companies ago for you, Cynthia. Like, she's with Big Design. No, that's not correct anymore, is it?
It's not, but that's all right. I think it forwards. I hope that domain name forwards.
I think I hit a time warp in my head at some point with this lineup tonight. So, you're Shift Collaborative. That's the company.
That's where I am. That's right. Shift Collaborative.
That's it.
And I'm Cynthia Closkey. Right?
Yes. I'm screwing up all the promos. I've had 2 sips of alcohol tonight, and it's already fantastic on the first of 2 shows. Remember when I used to do 4 of these on a Tuesday? Oof. But anyway, so how are you doing? I think, why don't we start with, are you having a good pandemic? Was our greeting.
I'm having a remarkably good pandemic. I don't know why I got a different edition than a lot of other people. We're just really, as we say, blessed, I guess, just really, really lucky. But you know, seclusion suits me. And my cats and I are here. We decorate. You know, we've got cat shelves that they can run up and down, and I sit at this desk all day, and it's fine.
And we do need to point out for those on audio that you and Dudders have matching Baby Yodas.
Yes, little Grogu in the background there, always ready to help in case the force is needed.
Absolutely. And back again, he joined us on the 10-year anniversary back in the summer. Rob De La Creta back with us in the greater Portland area, was it?
That's a phrase you could use. Yes, Portland. Most people would just say Portland.
You've been helping me with my Portland geography since it's been in the news, and I follow your Instagram stories.
In the news.
For reasons we won't review on this podcast.
No, Southeast Portland. The cool part.
The cool part.
Yeah. Hi. Hey. Me. It's me. Hi. I'm here.
The original, the OG. If you've just tuned in, like in the last couple of years, we started the podcast with Rob. Actually,
this was my domain.
Yeah, actually, no, it's his. I was getting to that. Actually, it's his show, and I've just been
my show.
I've just been carrying the flag for 10 years. Welcome, Rob. Welcome back to your show.
Oh, thanks. I like what you've done with the place.
Yeah, we got these lights and everything.
Oh wow. Improvement from what I walked out of.
Oh, yes, exactly. Not in the basement anymore with my CRT monitors that you constantly gave me crap about.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, man. Okay. Podcast budget. But this is the year-end edition. We're going to get into predictions. We're going to get to awesome things of the year, and we're going to see how our predictions did from last year. And, man, I think everything missed the mark, because how could we predict how this year would have went? But anyways, this is the AwesomeCast. Please check out at awesomecast.com, Rob's domain, and hit us up, awesomecast at sorgatronmedia.com. Tweet us at AwesomeCast and the AwesomeCast Facebook page and groups where we share a lot of stories and have some discussions throughout the week, and throw some stories in the show when we have the normal show, of course. And please subscribe and rate us on your favorite podcast app, or even ask your Amazon Echo or Google Home Nest, I don't know what they're calling it these days, or whatever voice device. I don't know, maybe it'll say it. Ask your toaster if it'll play the AwesomeCast. Who knows these days, right? And also, we're live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on our Facebook Live and the YouTube page and the Sorgatron Media Twitch page, and now we'll be live with that, of course, in the new year. Next week, we did pre-record a special social media deep dive with Katie Katie that will be going up at this time slot or in your social media feeds next week. So look out for that, Katie. We had a great discussion, like a good hour. I think we just really kind of dug into the social medias.
Oh yeah, it was really. I thought it was a good conversation.
It was. It was a replacement for us having the same conversation at Eaton Park like we normally would every so often. But so since that can't happen
I miss
these
you,
days.
Eaton Park.
Yes.
I miss you inside of Eaton Park.
Yeah. Having double dates on the outside on the porch is not working in Pittsburgh weather. But anyway, thank you to our audio partners, our friends at the405media.com and our friends at postindustrial.com. And thank you to our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/awesomecast. Our friends Matt Weller, John DeGore, and John Carmen at the Coffee Club level, and our friends Michael Fedor, pghmuseums.org, and Professor Buzzkill Podcast, and Dave Podner at the that fan of the show level. Thank you. Patreon.com/awesomecast. Thank you, everybody that's been supporting us. If you like what's going on with the show, or you're new to it because TikTok is doing something with our video, so hello, new people. Please go check that out as well. So let's get into our awesome things of the year this year. While there's a lot going on, I mean, there's still a lot of tech happening, of course. And Katie, I guess your awesome thing of the year is pretty obvious.
I've only talked about, I think, every week since I've gotten it. It's Animal Crossing. And it's been amazing for me, particularly in this whole pandemic and being stuck inside and having limited interaction with folk. But Animal Crossing to me was both a fun game, a relaxing game, and at points gave me things to look forward to and reasons to do things because with my whole cancer journey, it's been a little rough as far as like being able to really do things. And I don't want to say accomplish things, but essentially knock things off a to-do list. And this game actually gave me the ability to do that, which I really appreciated and was an unexpected upside of the whole thing. And of course, connecting with my niece and playing with her.
Mm-hmm. And it really kind of gave you more throughout the year. I mean, you were just giving tips for Snow Boys last week.
Yeah, and I've appreciated what they've done and that they've been able to give us some updates along the way. And I'm excited about Toy Day, which is only a couple days on Christmas Eve, and we'll have fun with that.
Awesome. I don't know. I mean, Fortnite and everything's still going strong, but I don't know if anything has been as fevered as this has. Or at least
no, I don't think so. It doesn't seem. I mean, Fortnite. I don't know. This was more of a commitment almost than Fortnite, but in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I have friends who are just starting into it recently, and then friends who are getting it for Christmas. So I'll have new friends and new islands to visit, and having them get started and them asking me like, how do I get into this game? What do I need to do? And it's like, oh geez, this there's a laundry list. Let me help you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's, yeah.
Awesome. Rob, what's your awesome thing?
So similarly themed, because the pandemic is everywhere, and spending a lot of time at home and all that good stuff, I finally bought an electronic drum set, and that's been my one of my many, but a pretty awesome thing of the year. So I've been playing drums since the 3rd grade, and I kind of stopped for a while because drums are loud and obnoxious. And for the longest time, electronic drum sets were exorbitantly expensive or complete garbage. And in the last few years, that gap has narrowed to the point where you can pick up a 5-piece drum set that is perfect and fine and wonderful and can be used as a MIDI controller and does a whole bunch of stuff you wouldn't expect for the low price of $380 and get it shipped to your door, which is bananas. And as a result, I went from not having played the drums in almost a decade to playing every day.
Nice.
So
and you don't bother anybody, because the big thing with this is like you can wear headphones and you're not getting all the loud noise, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and you can. It's better for learning in a lot of ways because you don't have to hear the music over your own playing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to isolate yourself. You can, like, it has audio in and audio out. You can do auxiliary input. There are services like Drumeo that are web-based training for playing the drums and that kind of stuff. All of this has come an extremely long way, and it was wonderful to just like hop right back in and realize how accessible it has become. And it has been a nice, completely, not completely non-technological, but like unplugged from my normal stuff.
Awesome. What's the set that you have?
I have the Alesis Nitro Mesh.
Oh, it's the first one that comes up in search.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's the one I'm showing.
Yes.
It's over on Guitar Center. Looks like it has it.
Yeah, it's also, that's one of the like the rare things where like the one everybody gets is the one you should get.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Versus I think everybody gets like the wrong one for post podcast microphones, for instance, right?
Yes. Yeah, because they Googled it and they bought the first thing that was there.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of us started on Behringer, but we upgraded eventually. We got some Shure mics now, so that's awesome. So so the closest thing I have to this, and it's still sitting in my dining room, is my Guitar Hero drum set.
If you've ever like walked into a room where somebody was playing the Guitar Hero drum set with headphones on, that's what it sounds like in my house if I'm playing the drums.
You just hears a lot of just tapping from the other room, right? It's not like I remember growing up, like the friends had drum sets and you'd hear it from like a block away. Like,
it's amazing how much the sound travels. There was a guy, I don't think he lives there anymore. He had rented a house like 5 or 6 blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a drum set in his garage, and his garage faced this way, and I could hear it in my backyard.
This is weird. I swear somebody in my neighborhood has a saxophone.
Are you sure? Is it a saxophone or is it a trumpet? Do they play taps every night at sundown?
It's not that. No, it's not that. But of course, like you guys, of course, know my neighborhood. It's like a bowl where I'm at, and I'm like on the one side of it, and then like it's up here. Like I can see like up here with the light and the tracks and everything. So if there's any music, if somebody's having a party, like you know it because it just echoes through the entire like the span of like 6 blocks in this bowl that forms in the side of the hill. So thankfully it's not.
It's like a. I was gonna say it's like a natural version of that effect that you have at like the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, where you stand at one side of the dome and you whisper, and the person at the other side can hear it. So you've got your own little natural one.
I could probably yell at somebody. And they would hear me. Somebody standing up here at the light in Beachview from my house 3 blocks away, because it would carry straight over. I think. I've not tested this. This is not scientific. So we have to try that sometime when we all can go outside. Or I'll just yell at people randomly. I'm like, why is this guy yelling at me from 3 blocks away? I'm like, hey, it's been a long couple of months. So awesome. So electronic drum set, and I should open that up again so I can grab that link. But anyways, Chilla, what's your awesome thing?
My awesome thing is TikTok. It has definitely helped me pass the time. And I just keep finding, it's like, to me, visual Twitter. Like, I just sit there and scroll and scroll and scroll and watch and watch and watch. And the algorithm's nice, and I really like odd hashtags in there, like tool porn is a good one.
What?
If you like tools?
Oh, tool porn. I thought you said
tool porn. They have all kinds of tricks for power tools.
Okay, I thought you were saying pool porn, and I'm like,
No.
like swimming pools,
Tool with
like,
a T.
like bar pool.
Tool.
No,
Swimming
no,
pool?
in the swimming pool. No, tool. They have all kinds of neat tricks you can do with power tools. I'm into the woodworking videos.
Oh, God, I'm searching for this.
It's just a lot of fun. If you look at tool porn and you look at the guy where he puts the key in the power drill to screw in the hook, it's a pretty neat, nifty
That's
little
pretty
trick.
cool, yeah.
Is that like the first one that's up here?
It was probably. I think it was down.
Oh, there it
it's
is.
pretty
Yeah,
cool.
no, it's the first one that pops up.
The first one that
great.
pops up.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, the hook screws in. Okay, I got you. There you go. That's what that.
There's some.
Go ahead.
Some good woodworking ones, PC builds that are always interesting and impressive. It led me down a whole path of wallpaper IO on Steam. So I invested, I think, a whole what, $3.99 on that to play around. I don't know. It's just been a way to pass the time, find a bunch of stuff that I'm interested in, and then kind of lead me down a different path to tinkering around the house.
This is something we kind of deep dive, Katie and I, next week. But you were talking about like anybody's on here, any interest is in there. Like I wouldn't imagine tools, right? Because we talk about like you get on there, if the first thing you see on TikTok is like some teenagers twerking, and you're like, I shouldn't be here. But if you keep going with it, you'll find stuff like this, I guess. I mean, it's different for the new user experience by now, but I mean, like 6 months ago when you did it before everybody was on it, that seemed to be the case.
There's a whole thing if you're into using, I don't know how it's pronounced, Cricut, like the paper cutting, wood cutting tool. Crycut. There's a whole Crycut segment. There's a lot of good ones. What's the one that was odd? Is it? I can't remember. Hold on.
I just pulled up a Crycut machine just to see what the heck this thing is. So it's like
your wife has one, doesn't she? Missy has one.
Oh, it's one of those things. Okay.
It's one of those things.
Oh, I still can't describe it.
The Crycut is coming from inside the house, Mike.
She was making Christmas. No, she's making wedding invitations with it one time.
Oh, sure.
Like with the ornamentals and everything. So yeah, and trying to mimic something they found online. I was like, okay. I was like, your project, not mine. Okay.
There's a whole weird, and I wouldn't recommend doing this on the show, but there's a whole weird subculture around accountants.
Don't tell me what I shouldn't search while live on the show.
Yeah, like if you look up accountant, like hashtag accountant.
What the hell?
I didn't realize like this was a whole like.
It's a bunch of ladies hoarding money.
I'm loving all of this. I'm loving this whole conversation.
So did you know about the whole accountant thing?
Oh.
I stumbled into it. Oh, you did?
No, I just searched for it, and I'm just like, what?
How did that originate?
I don't know.
Well, someone had started. So sex workers are not. There's a lot of obviously stigma around it, especially on social media platforms, and that came apart as like kind of a joke where somebody had asked, what do you do for a living? And they're a sex worker, and they're like, I'm an accountant. I do the things accountants do, and there's a whole sound that goes along with it. So it's a lot of folks were able to use that to, and poke fun at the whole thing. And, they're talking about their actual jobs, but they're like, I'm an accountant. I do things accountants do. I work in a place accountants work.
No one asks questions to accountants. Like when you say you're an accountant, no one asks you like, what's that like? Tell me more.
This is similar to some other podcasty people that we know who, when people ask them what they do, and they're professional podcasters, but you don't want to explain what being a professional podcaster is, and you say that you're a ceramicist. Because nobody asks any questions if you say you're a ceramicist.
Yeah. Well, I just learned, and now that's in my algorithm.
It's now in your algorithm.
Yep, I'm going to get a lot of accountant videos, if you will. Okay. Cynthia, what's your awesome thing? Please transition from that.
Okay. I actually had two awesome things. The first one is a white 100-foot Cat5 cable that has made my work from home experience bearable, because Wi-Fi is not great if you spend your entire day on Zoom,
yes.
which I do.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm in this spare bedroom in my apartment. My modem is in a whole other room, and the Wi-Fi was just not hacking it. And this changed my life. So that's probably the most awesome thing I had all year. But the second most awesome thing, which I have not yet experienced, but I look forward to as a 2021 best thing of the year, is the COVID vaccine, which I think is an amazing piece of technology. And the way they discovered it is astonishing. And all the different vaccines working in different ways. I mean, we live in amazing times that they could create these things.
I don't know if it's both of them or just one, but isn't one of them, like whatever process they used, somebody wrote a paper on years ago, and everybody dismissed and basically threw it away, cast aside, and they like rushed this thing off for this process, and it was like wildly successful.
I don't know that detail about it, so that could very well be true. That sounds like a thing very true. What I do know is that they didn't have to create it in the way that they've done before, but because they knew some things about the particular proteins, and in fact the reasons why this is such a terrible, virus that we're facing. And so it makes a lot of sense to me, though, that they would have discovered it years ago in some obscure paper was documenting that. So that makes perfect sense. But I think it's technology. It's the most amazing technology that we've had all year.
Absolutely. It really is astonishing that they have something in that, that quick. And even just little bits of stuff like working on the SARS outbreak that I think happened in the 2000s, because there's mostly a variant of that, I think, right?
Well, it works a similar way from what I understand.
So. That's amazing. That we could have been on this for 3 years dealing with this without any kind of anything like this in sight. So, but no, that's awesome. So Cat 5 and COVID vaccine. That's
yeah. I also had TikTok on my list before, but I thought that John was going to explain it better than I ever could. So to me, TikTok is also an amazing, new art form that can't even envision how they work in. So it's a blessing to.
Absolutely. Well, mine is, again, something I talk about pretty regularly on the show is streaming video games. Of course, I've been experimenting for months with Microsoft's XCloud, which is supposed to be coming to iOS and PCs themselves coming up here in the spring. Google Stadia and Nvidia Geforce Now, which allows me to use a lot of my Steam games in the cloud and on my phone. Stadia and Nvidia both rolled out at least their betas of the web-based iOS version, so I can play them all on my little iPhone 8 here. Little, big, it's a plus. And even Luna, Amazon's Luna, which I don't know, it exists. If you like Ubisoft games, I guess. Experiment with that a little bit. It's really solid now, and I think part of that has been something that's going to help them is going to be this cyberpunk situation that's happened. If you don't know, again, it's been the news the last 4 days at least here. But the Cyberpunk game that was supposed to be like the game of the year just completely crashed and burned on most console systems. PC seems to be all right, but to have something as good as that new Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, if you can get your hands on it, you got to have a pretty hefty machine. And then, one podcast I listened to has been playing their Cyberpunk in full quality on their MacBook Air, I think, through Google Stadia in a browser. And now, again, that's accessible on your tablet, that's accessible on your phone. It's really nice. I played like 3 hours of this game called Control when I talked about testing out Amazon Luna a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago. I played for like 3 hours on my iPad. You just hook up a controller and you're good to go. And again, the Xbox, PlayStation controllers are all Bluetooth compatible with iOS since last year's update, I think it was. So I think, especially as we're having these shortages, I think a lot of people that don't want to drop $500 on the newest thing, everybody has a screen. You're going to tell me I can log into a browser. Bandwidth obviously is going to be a problem for a lot of people, but for those that have, Comcast is pushing you for 100, 200 gigabytes, whatever. I think a lot of people are going to have access to do something like this, especially in the cities.
What's that going to do to the business model for these companies with all the consoles? Do we need consoles?
Well, Microsoft that's the point. Microsoft itself is pushing XCloud. It runs on Azure. So you buy a game or you subscribe to their Game Pass, and it's like how you get an app on your iPhone and it's on, iPad, Apple TV, Mac across the board. If it's the right app, it's going to work the same way for the games. They introduced new concept, smart delivery. It's going to sound familiar. Hey, we'll just give you the version for your old Xbox 360, or when you have your new one, you'll get all the bits for that new 4K version. or you stream the Android they're calling it Android version since it already streams now on Android only, still in an open beta, but it's eventually it's going to be, hey, this looks better coming off of their big server than it is, good enough for me versus like getting the new one, or the load times are better, which I know, Chilla, that's one thing you've been eyeballing on the Xbox is those load times, and I've been noticing the load time crunch on the games I've been playing on the Xbox versus like loading up the same games on Stadia like Destiny, right? So I think that's going to be the thing. I think it, that's a partial prediction, but I think it's gonna pick up steam here in the next year. And Microsoft seems ready for it, and everybody else is kind of getting their position ready for it. So
yeah, I mean, this feels like something that's been a long time coming. Even as someone who has like always worked in technology, but I'm not a huge gamer. I tried out Amazon Luna because I got like the beta invite and thought I'd like give it a shot, and so I used it for a week and canceled it.
Yeah,
and but the console hardware itself has always been a loss leader. In a lot of cases, it costs them an exceptional amount of money for every one of those that actually leaves the shelf. They don't make money on the console itself. They make the money on the games. So if you are a game developer, this is fine. Even if you're Microsoft, this is fine, because as long as you keep pushing the platform, as long as you are following the trend, and the trend for years has been, what if we didn't have to like come out with a new box every Christmas? What if we could have more control over the ecosystem? And so with everything that's like tangentially related to this stuff, with like app store development and remote deployment stuff, it all comes together to mean that you can release a game faster, you can iterate on a game faster, which means you can also put out a half-baked game faster, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It also means if you release a half-baked game, all of your users are connected, you can fix it iteratively as well. So like, devil's in the details, but the writing is on the wall to just throw two phrases right next to each other. Bam.
That's a nice quote salad you just did there.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's going to lower the access. I mean, conversations I've had over the last couple of days has been like, like Among Us. We're like, oh wait, we can all play Among Us, and then it's like the question then became, what platform are you on? Versus, right. I saw Uno was on sale on Stadia, and somebody's been like, hey, we should get Uno. I'm watching this feed. These wrestlers are having a lot of fun with it. I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe we will. But it's been like, $10, $15 for Uno. Seriously. And it was like, oh no, I'm on Switch. I'm on PlayStation. And it was like, well, I can get on PC. And I'm like, well, is it going to work with Steam if I have it on the other platform over here on Stadia? Like, that becomes a thing too. So, and those walls seem to be breaking down because more and more games seem to be cross-platform. So, I think all those are breaking down, and there's just providers at this point, or will be eventually, right? So,
and then you also run up against, like, to cross-reference more things, you run up against the Apple problem, where you have games that are developed for and by on that platform, and they work really, really well. And then when you try to make them cross-platform, it doesn't work as well. But you need to make it cross-platform to appeal to all of your users so you can all play with each other.
Well, and then also you've broken down the one big story of the year with Fortnite being taken off because they've violated and wanted to kind of throw it in the face of Apple, their rules. You can play Fortnite now on your Nvideo Geforce Now. So it is back on iOS, and as long as you have unlimited bandwidth, you can play it anywhere. By the way, the streaming works really well. It actually works. Okay, again, I have a similar issue as Cindy. I've put out on the show. I put my modem in the basement since that's where we needed it before, and now I don't need it in there anymore. So I go up on the second floor, and I can't play the streaming games as well because it's too far away. But if I click it over to LTE, plays just fine. And I don't have full bars LTE in my house. I have I'm down a bar or two, and the games are absolutely playable. So, when we're mobile and stuff, it was really cool to have the console with you, So, But
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, your only challenge is any data cap things you've got on your.
oh, absolutely.
Or
But then, hey, then they'll sell you, they'll take care of that. They'll sell you that data cap. And that's the other thing. If you have Comcast, I know they're going to up the data caps, and I think this takes a pretty good chunk. And as you get, like, if you want to do 4K Stadia on your Chromecast Ultra, like, it's going to be even more data, right? But we're going to be doing video the same way too eventually. So the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? Isn't this the conversation we had when everything went HD like 10 years ago? We're like, oh man, my AT&T is never gonna. I want to watch like 2 movies and hit my data cap. Well, here we are again, right? Well, maybe not that bad, but still. Well, hey, you know who's not gonna hit us with a data cap, pepperoni cap? Nope, that's falling apart. Our friends at Slice on Broadway supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza. No pepperoni cap on your pizza. Okay, maybe let's charge you extra for. This is a bad analogy. Anyways, they're in Beachview, Carnegie, in the East End. Go check them out, supporting us on this podcast for a while now. You know, back when we can have people in the studio and feed them. But now everybody is scattered to the digital winds. It'll happen again one day. We'll have a big pizza party to catch up on all the times that we missed. So go check out our friends Slice on Broadway here in the Pittsburgh area. Sorry, Rob.
It's fine.
We have somebody from Seattle that's always in our chat room on the Mayhem Show, and they're like, not impressed till it's out here. It's like, well, we're working on it. We keep pitching them. We're like, hey, throw it out there. Anyways, what are we doing next? Oh yeah, predictions from last year. Let's have fun with this. And unfortunately, well, Crappy's in the chat room, and Carmen's not here to defend themselves. So we'll start with them. John Carmen says Jeff Bezos will recruit more porch pirates to help sell Ring doorbells. I think this is in reference to Chilla's incident last Christmas when somebody stole a TV directly from his porch in broad daylight. I don't know. I haven't seen much more of this, Chilla. It's safe in your neighborhood, right? Is he muted?
Yeah, it has been safe, and I've seen a couple people. I've seen a couple people post on it about it. Maybe people are afraid of catching the COVID, but I haven't seen it nearly as much this year as I heard about it last year. But last year was maybe I just heard about it because it happened to me, so I was talking to people about it, and then it was more like I didn't see any news articles about it. It seemed to be like a topic, like on local news channels. Maybe I don't watch the news enough. I don't know.
I kind of wonder if it was more of a topic last year because I feel like there was a handful of cheaper cameras like Buys cameras and stuff like that coming out, so you had more video of it to get more like headline content. I know at least out here, like it's rampant. It's a totally normal thing, but it's so normal that like the news doesn't talk about it. They don't care. They have other things to talk about. And all the discussion happens within the Ring app, which is a whole other rat hole.
Chachi, who doesn't have a Ring. He has a more, I think it was a more robust video cam system actually. If he's got the same one that I remember him showing me, it says that he's had no porch issues and he's in a neighborhood where he completely expects it probably. So,
or I'm wondering too, is everyone a little more hesitant to do something this year because they think everyone's home? Everybody's
aware. Yeah, well, yeah, it's one thing. Everybody's home, so your chances of catching them at work, becomes a little bit of an issue. But also, is the awareness finally there? They're like, oh, most people have these cameras.
I think it's because people putting glitter in their packages. Nobody wants a glitter bomb.
The glitter bombs.
I saw that.
Man, I keep getting the glitter bomb TikTok keeps coming up on my on my feed. So here's that super awesome glitter bomb. I was like, jeez.
Between the glitter bomb and this, like the squirrel, deterrent bird feeders. Like those are the. Those are the things.
That's the thumbnail I keep seeing, Rob.
That's the one. It's an amazing video.
I've actually never watched this video, but
you need to watch this video.
It
is
pops
incredible.
up on everything. Oh no, he's glitter bombed. Oh boy,
glitter that is available.
That is severe. There's like 4 phones
involved and some other things. It's a truly wonderful thing.
Wow. So this is Glitter Bomb 3.0 versus Porch Pirates at was that Mark Rober. That's a name I think I've seen him do some other videos on this show too. Okay, we're gonna have to watch that a little bit later. I'll capture that one for the doc for later for no particular reason. So let's see what else we got here, and I put a feeler out, so we'll skip somebody for the moment. Cynthia.
I don't remember why I predicted this.
PlayStation and Xbox console launches will be duds, she says.
That's what I said.
I
don't know. Is that what happened?
It depends on your definition, doesn't it? Cyberpunk didn't go well.
Yeah, definitely not. And in a way, I mean, if you sell out all of the things so that you can't make more, I mean, apparently, according to Rob, who I truly believe, if you're going to lose money on every console that you sell, then I would want to run out of selling them. I would want to not sell them and just be talked about. All right, I'll sell them to you, but I'm only selling you 5. So,
that's kind of what's happening right now.
Yeah, so maybe it's actually one of these sort of like, I don't know what's the business corollary to a deep state. Like maybe this is their secret, strategy behind the scenes. I don't know.
Well, and like they had multiple versions, and there was a more expensive version. PlayStation, I think, is the the hardest to find. I work with somebody on a Twitter account, and I noticed I was getting notifications, and I realized that they used their promotion Twitter account to start getting updates for PlayStation 5 availability. I'm like, what's happening now? This isn't what this account's about or for. And I was like, oh no, you're doing that. Okay. So like, why? So I kept turning these notifications off on Twitter accounts that were spamming me. I'm like, what's happening? No, I think they had a shortage, like most electronics. Like it was a lot of high end hardware, and the supply chain's been, it's better than it was in March, but the supply chain's still strained, right, Rob?
It is still extremely strained, and now we're seeing there's been like this kind of fascinating economic hump and repeating hump where it's people being afraid about there being a shortage, therefore changing their plans, versus people who had a big enough warehouse to see something coming and buy enough ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
They do that, it affects this person over here, so then they can't get what they need, and so like it's going to be years before we stop feeling the effects of
it's like toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly. Where like nothing bad is currently happening. I'm not saying this is hypothetical future. Nothing bad is currently happening, and for some reason, you can't buy toothbrushes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And like a super fantastic example is we are still feeling the effects of the recession of 2008 because there's a Christmas tree shortage, because it takes about 10 to 12 years to grow a Christmas tree. And in 2008, it was the wrong year to be in the Christmas tree business.
They just had a Planet Money episode on this, didn't they?
Yeah,
that was a really good episode. It was so interesting about the Christmas trees. Highly recommended.
Yeah, when I was buying a Christmas tree last year, because all of your Christmas trees come from here, by the way.
No, they don't. They come from here. They come from Pennsylvania.
There's actually there are many farms directly outside of Pittsburgh were started using trees from Oregon, which is also a
that's cool. That's cool to know.
I know my wife's family has, like, they ended up moving down the road from the original Christmas tree farm that created the Christmas tree farm that they used to buy Christmas trees from as a kid in Ohio. It's weird. But we went to buy a tree last year, and they didn't have any at like the local nursery, and they're like, yeah, it's a crazy thing. We're feeling the 10 wave effect of all the farmers sold all their goods in 2008. Like they needed to get out because it was the wrong business to be in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm curious to see what other businesses we're going to see that affect, because there's a lot of businesses that are the bad business to be in right now with what's going on. And I mean, restaurants to start with. So, you know, be interesting to see what happens.
To close another loop real quick, the rumor from Bloomberg is that the PlayStation 5 costs $450 to produce.
And they're selling it for $5.
Yeah.
Yeah. They made good on that. It's usually like, hey, we're going to lose $20 on every one of these.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember with not the last Xbox, the one before the last Xbox, they lost like $50 to $75 a unit.
You're talking like 360 or like, because I don't know, there's been so many Xbox Ones at this point. That's the other thing that's happening. So
back on the Christmas tree, is there a reason why there's a shortage of Christmas tree lights this year?
On the lights? Because we didn't grow enough lights 10 years ago.
We didn't grow enough lights. But they're not easy to find. Like strands of decent lights. Like it's all, at least around here, it's all garbage. Unless everyone's going online and they're just
Christmas tree lights.
What's that?
I just Googled it and lots of headlines about it, so you're not the only one.
Wow.
Huh. Weird. And
now I was talking to someone and they said that stores have to put in their orders in January.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, absolutely.
And if they didn't think that there was going to be a need for as many this year, like I don't know. Like I still can't find the Christmas tree lights I wanted, so I just went with the old stuff we have around the house, and I'll just wait it out.
Well, this is not as hard as waiting out the toilet paper shortage. Dudders!
You don't know how to use the shelves?
3 shelves. This is how the 3 shelves happened. We ran out of toilet paper. That's it. Katie, your prediction was not about toilet paper.
No.
It was Zuckerberg sells Facebook. She's like, F this noise. He's like, oh, F this noise.
But he just buried himself further in the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't work. That didn't happen.
Yeah, and it got worse. Really, it didn't. Didn't it?
Yeah.
Like they're under more fire than they ever have been.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about this too much because somebody has a prediction that involves.
Okay. I didn't scan those yet. So, Chilla, PC sales will plummet.
COVID definitely took that and made it wrong.
Oh yeah, because everybody needed them. You can't get a Chromebook. You can't get. I mean, if you would have called Intel, would have gotten screwed this year.
Well, yeah, and I think I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure our school district is still constrained on
Really?
Chromebooks. Like they're kind of please don't take one if you don't need it, or don't ask for one if you don't need it.
Okay.
Even on the Chromebook side, I mean, I know. I would say the supply chain's starting to loosen up, obviously, but it was tight there for quite some time. And we actually, I know many companies that just stopped deploying because it was too hard to deploy remote.
Yeah, and plus the shortages on top of that, right? For that supply chain that we talked about, probably contributed. So, yeah. Well, my prediction was a continued growth of alternative shopping methods. Not entirely wrong. Displacing or moving workers, i.e., Amazon Go, self-check, pushing employees for pickups and grocery delivery, etc. Well, yeah, I don't know myself. I'm doing nothing but Instacart, and I figure all of that stuff. They had a big push between Amazon delivery drivers, Walmart delivery, and Instacart drivers. Postmates got bought by Uber. Uber swapped everything out for Uber Eats. Of course, it's all because of what happened, and we just thought this would happen naturally. So look at me leaning into a pandemic there.
You saw this coming. You know what I love, and maybe I even should have said this was my awesome thing of the year, is the scan and go thing at the grocery store, where you can go in with your cart, but you got your little scanner, and you scan them. You scan all the things as you put them in your cart and in your own bag, if you like, and then get to the special register. You pay. You're gone. You're not waiting for anything. It is the best thing in the world.
Where is this? I only know about this at Sheets.
Oh, it's at Market District.
Really? Okay. Okay.
At the Eagle. Yep.
You know what? I didn't like going to Market District when I did like being around people. So,
well, I mean, so you pay for it. It's obviously ridiculously much more expensive than everything else.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I was like, oh, this is too much grocery store for me. but it was, I mean, just like a Whole Foods is, right? It's like, no, this is too much. This is a different level. I'm not ready for this. So you scan it and like what happens at the register? Does it just check it? Does it check the weight or something like those?
Well, so you arrive at the store. You take your buyer card, your Advantage card or whatever, and you scan it so it knows who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, okay, take this little scanner device, which looks just like the ones at the register, kind of, with a more detailed screen probably. And then as you go around, like in the produce section, you put all your stuff in the cart and then you go to a special little scale, you weigh it, you tell it who you are, and it just basically is keeping track of all the things you picked up in the store because you scan them. And then you scan the UPC codes. We all know how to do that. You put them in your cart and then you arrive at to go check out, but you get to go to a checkout that nobody else is at all. Nobody at all. And you walk up to it, you point your little gun at the thing and it says, oh, okay, that's you, Cynthia. This is all the stuff that you said you put in your cart. This is what it's going to cost you. Please pay. And you pay and you leave. And it's great.
I was surprised at Costco. Have you seen where they you don't use the gun, but they pre-check you out before you get up to the cash register?
How do they do that? Is it like Amazon Go?
No. So what it is, so while you're waiting in line and they're so the person at the cash register is obviously checking out. There's one or two people, depending on the length of each line, that they scan your membership card. They scan your membership card, then they scan every barcode in your cart, and then they hand you, or then you just move up, and as soon as you get up to the cash register, all they do is scan the barcode on your membership card, and then everything comes into the cash register. So instead of having to be the person at the conveyor belt to actually check you out and swipe things up there, they're actually doing it remote, and there's multiple people in each line.
Terribly smart, because the big capital expense is that belt. And it's much easier just to have, you can scale up and down the people doing the scanning. Yeah. And you can distribute them, you can spread them 6 feet out. That's awesome. Well, so it's like that, but you have the fear of theft with the Giant Eagle version, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But so I experienced, not this week, but last week when I went and did this, I went to check out and then they said, okay, hang on a second. And somebody had to come over and eye my cart and make sure that I was not stealing things. Now this time I had, for the first time, put a thing in my cart and then I took it out and got a different thing and, did all that. So I don't know whether I acted suspicious. Also, I had pate and things in there because I was getting ready for Thanksgiving. But so I think at Costco, they would be more concerned about theft. So they'd rather have an official person doing the scanning.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe is my theorizing. It's my theorizing.
All right.
The margins might also be smaller.
One last prediction from last year, and I think I saw Crappy in the chat room hanging out, so maybe he can defend himself in there. We are not ready for a secure presidential election. Well, we did it.
I think he was right at the time, but I think that a lot of people worked super hard this year to make that prediction be wrong.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of, and the official word is that there was no real signs of any real breaches in the voting machines. I know that's disputed, but that's it. From the sources that seem to matter, that seems like it was right on for that. Not that they're all perfect, but I saw a lot of stories about with everything that they did ramp this up since this was going to be heated, going to be already questioned, kind of thing. So Way to whip them in shape, crappy. So, all right, let's get into our predictions for 2021. I'm sure these will go just fine because nothing big will happen in 2021. This was the once in the decade weird year, right? Once in a century weird year, I guess. So, who wants to go first? Katie, since you were kind of teased yours before. Or was it somebody else's?
No, I didn't even tease mine. I teased.
Wasn't even yours.
Cynthia's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with hers then. Oh, I see it. Cynthia.
Yeah, so my, I'm watching Facebook very carefully. A big part of my business, I have, people don't know, I have basically an ad agency.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of advertising on all the digital platforms. So we've been watching Facebook pretty closely. Personally, I've been using it less. I just don't need that in my life anymore. But my clients do, because it's so great at targeting people because it knows so much about them. But as a result, there's antitrust things that the federal government has brought against them. A lot of different sort of grassroots campaigns have been, conducting different boycotts. People are starting to think a little bit about privacy, maybe kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Facebook's going to be like, nope, we're going to do what we're doing. They're going to double down. They're not going to change a thing. If anything, they may try and acquire somebody else. They're just going to try and keep getting bigger and bigger. So my guess is that Mark Zuckerberg and company will continue to push really hard. I do think that it's very possible that in a couple of years, the antitrust stuff will come home to roost and they will get split up.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of hope that happens, actually.
Okay. Chilla, let's go with your prediction. It looks like I know we're at your heart out here, right on the line. So let's get yours out of the way.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I think we're not going to ever return fully back to work, especially in the tech or semi-tech sector. I think regardless of, I think people have figured out that corporations have figured out that they can save money. They don't need floor space. I don't think that's the same for restaurants and whatnot, but or some brick and mortar stores. But I think you will see the YouTube generation start to shift into the workforce based on their ability to collaborate virtually, as well as how to just present without being in front of someone. I think that's a skill that it will be interesting because generationally, you can't just say, hey, everyone has to learn this. You typically in large companies, but it will be a skill that is sought after and will move people up in companies. On a side note, not to be doom and gloomy, I think cyber warfare and criminal activity will become mainstream media and headline news over and over again as COVID has forced us to shift to be more reliant on cloud and cloud-based tech, because hardware was not readily available and was not easy to ship and provision and everything with people at home. A lot of companies went all in on cloud, and I think the news in the media with SolarWinds in the last week is just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah,
I think it's just starting. Absolutely. Rob, this is very interesting.
Hello. So I, if you follow me on the gram, I work on cars and bikes and stuff. I find my respite from the horrors of technology by working on old grimy things that run on dead dinosaurs, even though that's not true. And I am staring down the barrel of the progress of time in that these old gas-powered cars aren't going to be around forever. And it's not something my dad had to worry about as a gearhead. But it's absolutely a reality in that we're seeing more legislation come down that producing petroleum-fueled vehicles is not an option anymore, and that legislation is coming down saying that you can't sell new cars that are petroleum-powered. And as that happens, yes, it will take decades to shake all of that out, but if new cars aren't hitting the road, that also means that gas stations are going to receive less traffic. And if gas stations receive less traffic, then there's fewer gas stations. And I am building things that, like I have my Jeep that I've put a lot of work into. I have no plans of getting rid of that anytime soon. But the reason that I love it is not its ability to get poor gas mileage. The reason that I love it is everything else. And what we're starting to see is the same car culture that you have, that we've seen for decades out of gearheads, translate into newer electric car technology. So there are already YouTube channels dedicated to taking the parts and pieces of dead electric cars and making new things out of them. The technology is still heinously expensive. The most cost-effective way to do it now is to find a total vehicle and build something cool with it. But the power plant for an electric car is incredibly simple, and the electronics that drive that power plant are also incredibly simple. The most complex part is usually the safety mechanisms. And what started to happen this year is major manufacturers, as they start putting out their full line of electric cars, they're also putting out things that would allow you to take parts and pieces that they make and put them into a car that you have. So if you work in cars, you understand the concept of a crate motor, which is to say a motor that comes in a crate. It's usually something you do if you just want a different power plant. You want something that has more torque or more horsepower, or it's more suited for racing or climbing or whatever it is you're going to do. And just this year, actually a couple months ago, I think, Chevy announced their first electric crate motor. It's going to cost $30,000. So it's not it's not quite something I'm looking to pick up soon, but you know, that's the first. And it is technology that is tried and tested through the development of all of these cars. They're just taking a component that is usually on the assembly line and making it available to the consumer, and providing all of the accessories to say, well, I've got, you know, I have a 1997 Jeep Cherokee. I would like to make it electric. I can do that. Take the old engine out, put the new engine in, buy a couple adapters, and now you have an electric car.
Convert that old Corvette and convert that old Mustang, right?
Exactly, because there's no reason to get rid of all the old style and all the old other stuff. You know, very few people are into it for that, and I feel like we're gonna start to see that kind of like snowball effect of more people get interested. It becomes more popular. It gets to be cheaper and more supported.
I just did a quick search while you were talking about this, and I found an article on treehugger.com that says 13 electric vehicle conversion companies, and this is from November 10th of this year, actually, so it's relatively recent. So it labels Porsche, evporsche.com, and everything else looks like it's pretty like a lot of other companies I've never heard of. But you know, that's cool. Now, yeah, I didn't even think about like what that conversion would look like, right? So you know, it's just creeping in. We're getting our Tesla chargers and our local sheets in the area in Pittsburgh, right? And of course, the obligatory ones in the parking garage where Google is. Of course, they're going to have them. So you know, things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that converts over the next several years. So awesome. I haven't thought of a better one. I'm still going with streaming video games. We already really kind of talked about the streaming video games are going to go mainstream. I think some people, between frustrations over I remember when I couldn't get a PlayStation 5 in the fall, why don't I just go go Stadia? And I think this Cyberpunk thing is going to be a big, it plays fine over here, and you're getting your refunds on Xbox and PlayStation for your version, then it's like, I can play the new shiny over here for, you know, anywhere at this point. So I'm settling on that prediction for sure. Katie, we're ending with you. You got a big announcement at the beginning of this one. I see.
I'm becoming an accountant. No. I'll do the things accountants do. I think for next year, this is something we typically see working in marketing is a crop of new social media platforms. It's not, you know, some will come and, you know, you'll hear about them and they'll go away quickly. But I think because of the success of TikTok and places like Parler, we're going to see a lot more specialized social media platforms coming up, and marketers are going to be struggling to keep up, creating new accounts on every single one of these new platforms, because I think a lot of folks didn't bet on TikTok and it took off. So now they're feeling that, oh my gosh, no matter what social media platform comes out, my company has to be on it. Or if you're an influencer, you got to be on it. But I think we'll see a lot more, I don't want to say more serious, I don't know how to say that better, but like I said, with the success of like TikTok and Parler and a few other ones, I think we're going to see a lot more specialized social media platforms next year that target a specific audiences or a content type.
We haven't seen this flux of important new social media platforms in several years, and because it seems like Twitter and Facebook just seemed ingrained at this point, right? And your Snapchats, while growing, still felt fringe, but now, kind of attributing to all that security we were talking about, right? Or you don't know like what's happening. You want to go to a different echo chamber than Facebook's doing because they don't like what you have to say. Like that's, you're going to see that splintering happening, right? Like people are going to find those and they're going to explode, and then you have to be. I don't know. Is there a lot of marketing happening on Parler? I don't know. I guess somebody has to be, right? So I mean, like that's somebody's audience. So
yeah. You go where your audience is, no matter where they go. Yeah,
as you're finding on TikTok, right? So, absolutely. So, I mean, that's going to be the flux. I think in that anti-Facebook sentiment, I think is going to be a big. That's the new big driver, probably.
The challenge of the, I mean, you can be against Facebook, but as you know, if you've got a client who's trying to target a particular audience, their targeting tools are awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Their ways of doing that are great. So to Katie's point there, if you can feel like a certain social network is doing that targeting and you don't need the algorithm to do it, people are self-selecting into the different things. And the challenge is actually going to be like figuring out how to spread your budget and how to move it as time goes on, and how are you going to measure all these results and compare each of the different, the return on the investment on each of the different channels that you do. So it's going to be more work for me. So Katie, I love your idea. Let's let that happen.
It's the nice kind of mission creep, right? Billable mission creep, is that the right term?
It's highly billable.
Highly billable mission creep. Yes, exactly. I think I got everybody. I think that's everybody, right? Chilla, I believe, is already, he's out. He's at Chilla on Twitter. We'll give him a shout out there. Thank you for joining us there. Rob, I put up your Instagram momentarily, and we were checking out some cool cars and bikes on there while you were talking about the EV stuff. But if people do want to check out the awesome stuff you're doing online or anything else or what you do, where can they go do that?
I'm on ROBJDLC on all the things. Don't tweet me. I will not reply. And my company is Ion Tank, IONTANK. You can go to iontank.com. You can go to our Instagram at IonTank and look at obscure photos of the things that I make. And that's it.
Official job title, builds cool shit.
Yes.
And of course, Cynthia Closkey with Shift Collaborative, doing great social media things. I love our like halfway through that last one with Katie, and I was like, wait, we know exactly the person to talk to about this. She's sitting right here with us on that last one.
Here I am. I'm here for you. Always here for you.
Where can people see what you're working on or your company?
The company stuff is at shiftcollaborative.com, and we are on all the socials, but with terrible name choices. So just go to our website and go from there. And as far as me, I am on Twitter, so Rob and I can never speak.
Never speak.
Selectively ostracized. And Katie, of course, is on all of her social medias, keeping up to date on the things she's doing. And you've actually been doing a pretty cool series the last couple of weeks, I believe. If you don't mind mentioning that for a moment.
Oh, yeah. So if you go on to my Instagram, Kate Marie PGH, or Katie Dudas on Facebook, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, a year ago on Christmas Eve, coming up. This is my 1-year anniversary of diagnosis. And I've kind of been walking people through. I've not talked about this particular part of my journey, but what led up to the visits and the doctor's appointments that led up to my diagnosis and the immediate, after, how many doctor's appointments, and just kind of shining a light on it's not in all size fits all, you're diagnosed and this is what you do. There's a lot more that goes into it, and kind of a behind the scenes look at it and what you have to deal with.
Excellent. Kate Marie PGH on the Instagram. So that's a good place for that. And great stories. Let me know about all the cool things that people are doing around Pittsburgh as well to help others out. So that's everybody. Chilla already left. Go check out. I'm Sorgatron everywhere, and including your TikToks, which apparently, if you talk about the idea that the Insane Clown Posse and Guy Ferrari are the same person, it gets a lot of attention over there. But a lot of fun stuff going on. Again, next week, not a live show. We'll have a pre-recorded show. Big social media deep dive that Katie and I did. So check that out. Same awesome time, same awesome channel. I'll be on all the platforms there afterwards as usual. Probably a little earlier, actually, since it's already in the can. So thank you, everybody. It's been, despite everything going on, it has been an awesome year here. A lot of great conversations that we've had. And thank you, everybody, for being with us and checking the show out over the last 10 years. We'll see you in 2021, the first Tuesday of the new year with a new episode. Thank you. You have been our awesome audience. Have an awesome new year. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.